Hello, this is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit that like button, share the video, and subscribe. I think sometime before the trial of Brian Kohberger, I'm going to be heading out to Moscow again and do some filming. Get some more 360-degree footage, maybe some drone footage, and just drive around and record various places. And I was wondering in the comments section if you guys would like to put in the comments where you would like me to go. I think I'll probably film this area again with the this newer 360-degree camera. Of course, this house is not there anymore, but we've seen it so many times we know exactly where it is, right back there. And then I think I'm going to film the entire sort of loop that goes around. All right, so that would entail like this entire loop and going around like this, and then doing a U-turn, coming back up, walking back this direction, and then coming back into the complex. Now I call the complex this area right inside here, okay, because there's no way out other than going back out the same way on King Road. So you come on King Road, and then there's Queen Road that goes around and back behind here. I also think that I am going to travel out and go that route that I was discussing on Court TV the other day. As you can see, after the homicides, Kohberger drove out like this, and he came around. Let me use this sphere here. So he came out like this and around, and then came down like this, and then made his way to Sunnyside Avenue and took a right. All right, now they believe he took these routes because where the known surveillance cameras are, they don't see the vehicle driving by. Like, for example, if it had gone back out this way, Ridge Road camera would have picked it up. So they know it didn't go back out that way. So the only other option would have been to sneak through here and then kind of go out. But they believe he drove down like this and then around on Conestoga. So first it was Sunnyside Avenue, then Conestoga, which is right there, and then all the way around on Conestoga until it reaches Palouse River Drive right here. Then once it hit Palouse River Drive, the probable cause document shows that the vehicle went down Highway 95 like this. However, if it did drive down Highway 95 like that, as I mentioned on the Court TV show that I was on, you're missing about 16 to 18 minutes of time. All right, the vehicle, since it left at a high rate of speed at 4:20 and 47 seconds, should have been near Blaine, just in the general area by 4:32. But it got there at 4:48 is when it pinged, I guess, west of Blaine. So if we take, this route right here, it should have been there at around 4:32. But in some of the hearings, Ann Taylor mentions that the vehicle isn't spotted on these cameras, so that wouldn't match what the probable cause document says. So I was looking around, and it turns out that once you're on Palouse River Drive right here, and you're driving like this, instead of turning on 95, if you just go straight, and by the way, that's really close to the Indian Hills Drive, which is right in this area where it was first spotted. So let's say he drove out, and that was at 3:26 in the morning, right up in this area here. All right. So let's say at 4:20 and 47 seconds after it sped away, it made its way to Palouse River Drive. It went out this direction, and then I think it's possible it went right to the end of Palouse River Drive, and then took a right on, looks like, Lenville Road, and then followed that Lenville Road all the way down. Looks like there's a Blaine Road right there. Not sure how that would work. That looks pretty convoluted. But what I had him do is go on Lenville Road here, and then Genesee, looks like Juliet Road right here, and then makes its way all the way down to right here. And then this would be the intersection where it would turn right and come down like this. And let's see what this road is. This is Genesee Troy Road. And comes down, and then right here starts heading to the west. And look at that. So right when it comes down here, heads west right through here, and this is Blaine right there. So let's say after it came through Blaine like this, and it's heading this direction, it now turns his phone on. And that's what it said in the special, that it pinged west of Blaine. So that would also be where Highway 95 is, right there. He turns his phone on, and believe it or not, that route, driving the recommended speed on Google Maps, is, it gets there in 29 minutes. So 29 to 420 in 47 seconds is about 450, and 448 is when they say the phone pinged there. So if he just drove a little faster, as we know he was speeding away at a high rate of speed, if he drove a little faster, he'd be there right around 448, and that would put him on Highway 95. Now, law enforcement, in their probable cause, does not have him go to Genesee over here. They have him kind of cut across and go on these, some crazy routes through here and then down, and then it does go through Colton and then back up. So I was thinking of doing that, filming that route. I mean, it's a definite possibility, but there's all kinds of possibilities. I mean, when the vehicle came down here on Palouse River Drive, and that was probably like 4:25-ish down here, where could it have gone that it's missing 16 to 18 minutes? Now, the route that I have, it's a continuous route, and it puts him out there at that time, and that means he's not getting rid of, likely, unless he had a pre-dug hole, he could have jumped out of his car, buried the knife really quick, covered up with dirt, put a rock on top of it on some crazy side road, and nobody would ever know that that was there. Definitely could have done that. But if he somehow takes Highway 95 here, and we're missing the 18 minutes, and somehow it just didn't show up on these cameras here, then somewhere out in this area, out and away, I mean, Blaine's right there. It's not far away from Moscow, Idaho. It's like 5 or 6 miles away. It's a very quick drive to get there. So somewhere out in this area, maybe he got rid of the knife and the bloody clothing. Obviously, you wouldn't want to be driving around for an extended period of time with bloody clothing and a bloody knife in your vehicle. That would be pretty stupid. So we'll definitely film that. If you guys want me to go up to Pullman, to his apartment complex, we can do that, film that area. I might even take a trip out to Wawawe Park, where he claims he was. I think I'm going to actually go down to Lewiston, and I will go over to the Costco, which is right here, and show the various cameras that may have filmed him. It might have been like he parked more back in here. I just have him parking over in this area, like the northeast portion of this parking lot. Now this here is northeast of the Costco area, so he could have been parked back in there. But remember, he went into this door here and he got rejected. He obviously didn't have the correct credentials to get into Costco. So he got back in his vehicle at that point, and then he drove over here to I believe it's right in this area. And this is the Kate's Cup of Joe. So I'll use the same marker that I was using before. So he's over at the chef store. The camera on the chef store that's right here films the Elantra, Brian Kohberger's white Elantra right here. And then he pulls out onto Port Drive. And then after getting onto Port Drive, he drives around like this, and then down to Albertsons, and then he goes into this parking lot, and I think he parked kind of over in this area. Then he walks over to Albertsons, and then he goes into Albertsons, and they see a person that looks just like Brian Kohberger. So the importance of this trip down here is it actually verifies that the suspect vehicle that they've been tracking, Brian Kohberger's phone, and Brian Kohberger himself are all in the same place. So it adds credibility to the other sightings that evening. And then you got the DNA on the knife sheath left on the bed, and a white Elantra in the area, especially seen on Ridge Road camera, missing a front license plate. The same vehicle matching the exact amount of time that it takes to drive from Ridge Road to the 1122 King Road address. You can see it. I mean, I've actually done the drive and timed it, and it matches perfectly. So when you have the vehicle right here, it drives by the A&W. That's the building that has the camera on it. And this, let's just go back to around 3:28 in the morning, 3:29. It drives by right here. And then this building right here is the Ridge Road camera that picked up the incredibly important image of the Elantra missing its front plate. And it drives by right here. It didn't pick it up on that pass, though. They just see a vehicle that matches the description of suspect vehicle 1. They do say in the original probable cause that on this camera they were also able to tell that it was missing a front license plate. This camera here was just able to say what generation of an Elantra it was, and also it was missing a front plate. And we're talking about 3:30 in the morning until 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:02-ish. So the vehicle comes around right here at like 3:29, and then passes Linda Lane camera right there, and then pulls into the area. Now the vehicle continually would go around, wait back here. First pass, it waited back here for a minute, and then it leaves, comes this direction, goes down, does a U-turn. I think on the first pass it drove over here, waited for a while, but it comes around, it hangs around in this area. Some people suggest that maybe he drove over into this area where he could see the Moscow Police Department really easily. And maybe there just aren't cameras here. It's kind of astounding how few people have cameras in the area. So he made his way back over into the area at 3:39, and he comes back in at 3:56:56. As we remember, it comes in right here. And that's when I believe the DoorDash sighting was, is during pass number 3, during that time frame. All right, and then he comes back in the final time at, I think it was 4:04:56, and comes around and then does a 3-point turn, and then heads back over here. And let's take a look at my timeline. 4:04:56, and then it does a 3-point turn, and then it does another 3-point turn right around 4:06:09-ish, and 4:06:31. It's over here again, so it drove around, 3-point turn, came back over here, did another 3-point turn because it was checking on what the aftermath of the DoorDash driver was, and it came back around, and then the vehicle parked over here around 4:08, and then inside the time between 4:08 and 4:20 and 47 seconds, when you see it leaving at a high rate of speed, a knife sheath was left on the bed of Madison Mogan, and also inside of that time frame all 4 victims were killed, but a knife sheath was left there that had Brian Kohberger's DNA on it. And therefore, the white Elantra driving around is his. It's not reasonable to believe that the white Elantra driving around without its front plate is somebody else's when Brian Kohberger's DNA is found on the knife sheath. And we also know that he purchased a K-bar knife in March of 2022. And, oh, by the way, he was wearing a balaclava that Dylan Mortensen saw, and he purchased that in January of 2022. I think it's interesting that 2 items that he purchased were items witnessed at the crime scene that he purchased in 2022 as well. All right, so again, where would you like me to drive around? I'm going to take my 360-degree camera and likely walk some of these areas. And I do have a mount also to put one on my vehicle, so I'll probably do a combination in the evening of, perhaps putting that on top of my car and then also doing the dash camera with my GoPro. All right. So there's a lot of interesting spots. I think I'm going to try to go to a lot of the different areas in terms of maybe I'll even pull into the Floyd's Cannabis shop here, check out where that camera is. Different places along here, I think the bagel shop, etc. Now, I think one of the most interesting things that I've done in the past is, the timing. If you watch some of my earlier videos, so like right here on Indian Hills Drive, when I started recording, I put a clock on the screen, and it's amazing how when you drive out, you make your way to Steiner Avenue, and then drive by the A&W, the car drives by exactly when surveillance has it there. Now, they do have it, I think this timing's off by like 10 or 15 seconds, and then the vehicle drives here, it's spotted on the Ridge Road camera. Then the vehicle comes around and drives right by here, the Linda Lane camera, the 1320 camera, exactly when it is supposed to drive by there. And then the timing pulling in, it's exactly the time. So, whether or not you see it on every single house tracking it, the timing works. And I think that's incredibly important. So again, put it in the comments section what you think about where I should go and film, etc. I've already been out there twice when the house was there. The house isn't there anymore, but we couldn't even go into the house anyways. So now it's about filming all the other stuff better. All right, I know the routes better now. I had the correct looping, but I didn't have the correct order, where he went and stuff. I thought he would just go around in circles, but he didn't do that. He would turn around, come back around. He just kind of stayed back on Ridge Road and Willanta Drive and Taylor Avenue the entire time. All right, so again, let me know, and I will try to incorporate that in what I'm doing. Thank you all very much for watching. I almost forgot. If you guys could please hit the like button for me, I would really appreciate it. Share the video and subscribe. And make sure to watch the trial when it happens on August 18th now. They pushed it back a week. And watch it on my channel, because I'll be able to show you the looks inside of the house. I have a 360-degree images of a 3D model that I built of the house. I have 360-degree videos of the King Road area that you can see right here, where the house is, etc. We can see all the different angles, and I've been covering the case since the beginning, and I know the details that matter in the case. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there.